Hello, everybody, and welcome to Lesson 3, the Foundations of Reading. So remember when we talked about those foundations of the house that you want? We're going to have a bit of a go with phonemic awareness and phonics. So if you were looking those terms up last week, that's totally cool. We're just going to expand a little bit on that today. So, I got several computers going here, so there we go. Okay, so successful reading instruction. According to the National Institute for Literacy, it has been discovered that to successfully teach children to read, there must be 5 areas of reading instruction included in any pedagogical or instructional strategy choice. Okay, so phonemic awareness, phonics, vocabulary, fluency, text comprehension. So we're going to look at particular reading strategies in the future for like the vocab, the fluency, the text comprehension. But every one of them has number 1 and 2, phonemic awareness and phonics, somewhere embedded in them, either as a presumption that kids understand them or specific work for developing those particular strategies. Okay, but that's why phonemic awareness and phonics is a little bit bigger, because those are your foundations. Okay, the percentages of different reading strategies will differ around how much they focus on each of these 5 main areas of reading instruction, but the foundation of all reading instruction is phonemic awareness and phonics. And I think by the end of our time today together, you will know why. It's also imperative as a potential future teacher of any grade 1, grade 3, grade 6, grade 12, that you have an understanding of phonemes and phonics, because you will deal with this issue throughout schooling. And probably if I asked you who in your practicum has students in their class, no matter what the grade, who have difficulties with phonemic awareness of phonics, I would say almost all of you would put up your hand and say, yeah, there's somebody in my grade 1, my grade 3, or my grade 6 class that has difficulty. Okay, so today we're going to be doing a little bit of a review of those 371 terms that are maybe somewhere in there, but might just be good to bring back into the light. Okay, so basically this is what we're going to do. We're going to look at today. So we're going to talk about the lingo. There are lots of terms that you either need to memorize or know where to find them. So for example, in your ePortfolio, this would be a great place to put lots of these terms so you can easily go back and access them. We're going to look at what are the actual phonemes. So I'm going to actually get you to practice those on your own, both through this lecture and in class. How do I work with the phonemes? Just basically, how do you combine those phonemes to make those sounds to make words? How do I evaluate claims of how to teach phonemes? This is, remember my roof analysis or my house analysis? This is the roof piece. Right, this is that critical analysis that's going to be so important for you to go forward. And then how do I teach them? Well, what we're going to do is we're going to dive kind of deep into one strategy with the knowledge, of course, that there are several strategies. Right, but I'm going to dive deep into Secret Stories by Katie Gardner. And this particular strategy, I'm pretty sure, is still being used at IF Cox. It was when I was out there with student teachers. And Katie Gardner has done lots of PD sessions with Medicine Hat teachers. So you might find it out there in different teachers or different pockets. This is being used. So that's kind of the game plan for today. Let's just make sure I can move it. Okay. Let's just talk about some terms here. So phonics does not equal phonemic awareness. Everybody say that. Phonics does not equal phonemic awareness. Okay, I'm just going to read this because it's important that you get this right off the top. Phonemic awareness and phonics are not the same thing. Phonemic awareness is the understanding that the sounds of the spoken language work together to make words. It's all about the sounds. I'm going to hang on. Here, wrong computer. I'm just going to turn off my sound so you don't keep getting all my notifications. Okay, you're just going to get my notification noises because I have too many things going on here. I cannot find it. So you'll just know that I'm getting lots of emails. Here we go. So phonemic awareness is the sound of the spoken language, right? Phonics, however, is the understanding that there is a relationship between letters and sounds through the actual written language. So phonics is focused on the actual letters, the scrawl that you see on this PowerPoint that we call letters, and the actual sounds that you're hearing me put together. That's phonics through together. Children who cannot hear and work with the phonemes, so just the sounds of spoken words, will have a difficult time learning how to relate those phonemes to letters, because if they don't understand the concept of these are the sounds of the English language, then connecting them to the actual letters is going to be kind of crazy. Okay, so they will have difficult learning how to relate these phonemes to letters when they see them in written words. So if you want more information, there's a one-page summary on this Reading Rockets link that's on this particular page. If you just want a little bit more information and a pretty nice succinct summary there. Okay. We're going to do a quick overview of some of your 371 terms. These concepts are going to haunt you for all the days of your life as a teacher. Okay, so here is the lingo. Phonology is the overall umbrella of kind of, when you're talking about any kind of sound, phonology is your umbrella term. So it's the study of the sounds of language. It's the study of the patterns of sound. Okay, sorry, I got to get rid of all these notifications. Hang on, I'm going to try one more time. Not sure if I did it, but I turned some ringers off, so hopefully that will help with the notification issue. Okay, so phonology, study of sounds in language, and the study of patterns of sound that create meaning in language. So if I just started putting random sounds together, like ik, ah, hu, hi, hu, waha, it makes no sense. But we've now bought into the fact that the words that I'm saying make sense and have meaning to us. So that's the study of the patterns of sound that create meaning in language. Okay. Phonology terms. So we have the phoneme. It's super imperative that you understand phoneme. Phoneme is they are the smallest units of sound in language. Okay, these sounds are not connected to the letters of the alphabet, and they include what I call diphthongs. So when you have like OU together or AW, you have those like ow kind of sounds where you have two vowel sounds together, and blends. And we're going to talk about all of those. So we basically have 44 different phonemes. So some systems, if you look at, will say we have 46. Other systems will say we have 42. But basically we have 44 different phonemes. Again, it's not connected to the printed letters of the alphabet. And what I've done is I've given you a PDF. You probably saw this before in 371, but it's good to see it again. Okay, so phonemic, hang on here, I'm just going to go down one up. No, I'm not going to explain that right now. I'm going to let you go here. So for students who cannot distinguish these individual sounds and don't have a concept that the sounds that they are hearing can be manipulated and used to create new words, it's going to be rough. It's going to be really rough for them. So I want you to think, has anybody traveled in a country where you didn't understand the language? And was it hard to distinguish where like one word ended and one word started? It's just sort of a jumble of sounds. So if a child doesn't have this, where they can't separate the different sounds into these small phonemes, it's going to be tough for them to read. Okay, so what I want you to do right now is I want you to go to this website and I want you to read out loud all of the phonemes, all 44 of the phonemes. There's nobody around, just do it, because what you need to be able to do is, I'm just going to go here right now. I'm just going to, copy, because if you don't have a concept of these phonemes as a teacher, it's going to be very difficult for you to help your students. No thanks. Okay, so I want you to go through and be like b, ball, d, dog, f, fan. And then I want you to say all of these words: cliff, phone, laugh, calf, off, right? Often in there, because you could start to see that, wow, this f sound I can spell in the English language FF, PF, GF, LF, and just for fun, FT. So I would go through here, particularly if you have never done this, and just go through all of these sounds here and then read all of the words here to give you the sound, especially when you get down into the long vowels. Look at this. This is crazy. So the a, it's a, where it actually says its name, like A says A. So baby, way, straight, hey. But look at how many different ways we spell our long A sound. It's kind of nuts. It's kind of nuts. So go through this entire one. We're also going to work on a little bit in class, but have a really good idea of what these 44 phonemes are in here. Okay, I'm just going to go back to this one. Okay, get back on this computer and off we go. Phonological awareness is a global awareness and ability to manipulate the sound structures of speech. So this is that you understand that speech is made up of sounds, and then you can manipulate those sounds within the parameters of that language. Phonemic awareness is the child's awareness of the individual phonemes. So can they say b, a, u, right? Can they do that? Can they go k, at? Do they know that cat, the word cat, is actually made up of 3 distinct sounds? K, at. And it's the child's ability to manipulate these sounds. So they can they change the first letter of cat to make a flying animal? Can a child actually go, oh, I can remove the C because that's k, that's the first sound. I still have at, flying animal, b, bat, b, at, b, at. Okay, so that's what phonemic awareness is. Okay, let's go on to morphology. So basically, morphology is the study of the structure of words and how morphemes combine to create new meaning. And a morpheme is the smallest meaningful unit of language. It can be a whole word or a part of a word, such as a prefix or a suffix. For example, the word ungrateful contains 3 morphemes. So this is a direct slide from 371 if you were with me. Un, great, and full, right? You can't have gra, t, because gra is not, has no meaning, but great has a meaning. Un has a meaning, great has a meaning, full has a meaning, okay? And then need to go now all contain, whoops, get rid of that S, all contain only 1 morpheme, because need, you have NE makes no sense on its own. It needs the whole word there. So the little cartoon is, here they come again. These guys always try to start something. Little prefix joke there. Okay, here we go. Let's go on to phonology terms under graphophonemic awareness. So this is the relationship between, now we're starting into the printed letters and the phonemes and the sounds. So now we're starting to get into that phonics world. So think about graph as in a picture, like that it's a visual, right? So now you're starting to take those sounds and write them down in some kind of visual format, which is basically what letters and writing, that's basically what it is. And then a grapheme is a letter or letter combination that spells a single phoneme. So for example, the sound k can be spelled with just a C, a K, or a CK. The sound E long E can be spelled E-E, E-A, I-E, E-I, and E. So now we're starting to go from only the sounds into combining into the letters. So now we're getting into more of the phonics world here. Okay, remember the chaos poem? Do you remember how crazy this chaos poem was? Well, this is the issue with the English language. The English language is kind of nuts. It's hard. So one of the articles that I'm going to have you read a little bit later on is an article by Louisa Moats, and it's called "Teaching Reading is Rocket Science." And so she's saying it's hard. Learning how to read is hard. If you haven't listened to this poem, it's worth, I'm just going to move this up a little. It's worth stopping and having a little bit of a listen to and having a little bit of a recognition of how crazy sound to letter combination the English language is. So I'm going to leave that with you. If you've heard it, you can skip it. But if you haven't, it's worth a couple minutes of your time. You can even just watch the first couple minutes of it. Okay, here we go. Let's look at what are the phonemes. So this is graphophonemic craziness. So this is what I read to you before. So look at all of these crazy ways to spell one sound. No wonder spelling is crazy in elementary, because there's all these sounds. So again, what we're going to do in class time is you're going to, with a partner, just go through this list and just say, baby, way, straight. You're going to just read through this just so you get the real sense of what those phonemes are. And so be ready for that. Hang on. If you are going, well, actually, I don't know how to say some of these things, then you can go to the Phonemes Spoken YouTube here and actually just listen to the lady say all 44 phonemes. You have to know the proper pronunciation of these phonemes, because sometimes we as adult speakers, we get lazy, right? We slur things and we muffle things. We might say eh instead of a or ah, right? So we have to be consistent, and we have to be really purposeful that we understand these phonemes, or we can really mess up a child and their understanding of a sound, because you maybe said eh, and it's really supposed to be a, right? So think about really being particular in how you say these words. Also, we're going to do a little bit of work in class about breaking words into particular phonemes and just good old counting how many phonemes are in this particular word. So just be ready for that during class time. Okay, so let's talk about how do you deal with these phonemes? How do you put them together, take them apart? How do you move them? How do you move from one phoneme seamlessly into another? So that's what all these terms are. So we are going to have a little bit of a game of heads up in class with these terms. So be ready to be able to describe or just use the definition of these particular usages of phonemes. So here we go. Phoneme isolation. Oh, sorry. I just want to talk about this. I put this little visual here because, again, phonemes are things that you should be able to think about with your eyes closed. So again, it's all about the sound. Okay, so phoneme isolation is when children basically recognize the individual sounds in a word. They can isolate the particular sounds in a word. So again, they can isolate k, at. Phoneme identity is when children recognize the same sounds in different words. So they would recognize that k, at has some same phonemes as b, at, right? So they would recognize that the a and the t, that it's the same in the two words. Phoneme categorization is when children recognize the word in a set of 3 or 4 words that has an odd kind of sound. So like cow, bow, moo, sow. So they're starting to categorize those words. Even though the meaning they don't have any meaning connection, they have sound connection. Phoneme blending is when children listen to a sequence of separately spoken phonemes and then combine the phonemes to form a word. Then they write and read the word. So they're blending the sounds together. So instead of saying k, at, and thinking that that's the word, they now blend it, cat. They blend it together. Okay. Phoneme segmentation is children break a word into its separate sounds, saying each sound as they tap or count it out. Okay, so they segment it. So now when you say, what are the phonemes in cat? They can go k, at. Phoneme deletion is when children recognize the word that remains when a phoneme is removed from another word. So they recognize that desk. If you had desk and desks, they would understand that desk, you have deleted the final S of desks. Phoneme addition is just the opposite. Children make a new word by adding a phoneme to an existing word. So they would take desk, and you could say, what letter could you add at the end? They would say desks, so they add. And then phoneme substitution is they can substitute one phoneme for another to make a new word. So something like caught can become cat, or cat can become bat. Right, so that's phoneme. That is phoneme recognition. Phoneme substitution in there. Okay, here we go. So we're going to have a little game of heads up just to get these terms in your head. So these are going to be the terms that you're going to either give a definition for or an example of. And then, you'll have to try to be the fastest of the group to understand it. So again, just a little heads up. Okay, that's your phoneme lingo. Yeah, hopefully that helps just bring that information back, especially from 371. All right, take care, everybody.